This is the Mediocre Black Woman, the space where we stop shrinking and start taking up every inch of the room we deserve, where we laugh, we joke, we cry, we grow, and we take a digital deep sigh. I'm Goddess Theodora, a woman who's been laid off, burnt out, underestimated, and still refuses to fold. Y'all, they can't keep me down. I've weathered storms, shed identities, and learned to demand more than the bare minimum. This is for Black women reclaiming our voices, our time, and our energy. For the ones who've walked away from situations that no longer serve us, and for those still plotting our escape. Sometimes it's ranting, sometimes it's raw healing, sometimes it's a girl, let me tell you. But it's always ours, unfiltered, unapologetic, and a reminder that no system and no circumstance will break our souls. I'm so happy you decided to come back. Do me a favor and support the show by leaving us a review, sharing this episode, subscribing to us from wherever you are listening. And if you are on Substack, leave us a comment, because if you talk to me, I talk back. Okay, now let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Mediocre Black Woman podcast. And so today I am joined by this amazing and incredible human, Mahogany Purpose. And here's the story. So I told y'all probably a few months ago that my sister during Juneteenth, she brought me this beautiful card about dreaming and about reaching. And it was a Black greeting card that came from Mahogany's shop called Black Greeting Cards. And I decided to have her on because her story is impactful. I love what she's doing. And so let me just introduce you all to Mahogany Purpose. Mahogany Purpose is one of those rare people whose work and art flow from the same deep well of love for her community. From Seattle, Washington, Mahogany is an artist, poet, musician, and strategic advisor whose background in social work gives her a rare gift: the ability to create and implement strategies that not only break down barriers, but also affirm the brilliance, beauty, and resilience of Black people. She doesn't just talk about us, she sees us, and she makes sure we see ourselves. Okay? Yeah, that card made me feel very seen. For over 15 years, Mahogany has served her community through nonprofit and local government work, bringing both heart and precision to every role. She holds bachelor's degrees in sociology and psychology, along with a Master of Social Work from the University of Washington. In 2019, after experiencing a miscarriage, she found herself called to art, or as she says, art found her as a way to heal. Since then, she has founded Club Hagi, DBA, Black Greeting Cards, published a book of poetry, recorded music, and welcomed a beautiful baby boy into the world. Her artwork centers Black and brown people with an intentional focus on healthy representation, something she is deeply committed to, especially as she raises her son. Mahogany often says, I am intentional about seeing us and healthy representations of us. It's so important. As I raise my beautiful son, I'm even more aware of this. So here I am, creating the dream, healing and thriving for strong legacy and healthy lineage, using art as one of my mediums. And that's exactly who she is, a woman building legacy rooted in love, healing, and unapologetic representation. So without further ado, welcome, Mahogany.
Thank you. And can I just say that was so nice to hear? Like, I'm just full of everything right now, all the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. When somebody talks about you, it's so good. I had a mentor that would say the sweetest language in the dictionary, or the sweetest word in the dictionary, is somebody's name, right? So when they hear their name, just feel this, resonance. And I'm like, yeah, anytime somebody says my name, I'm like, ooh, you know me. You like me.
Dang, that's good.
Yeah. So welcome, Mahogany. I am so happy to have you here. Yeah, your story really, when we talked on the phone, I was really moved by how transparent and open you were. And I know it's a part of your story and how you got to, where you are today, but it just moved me that somebody would be willing to share their story. And I think that's also for the purpose of healing others. So I'd like to start, if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your story and how you started creating Black greeting cards in the first place.
Yeah, sure thing. My story, like, that's just a huge invitation in itself. But to start with the greeting cards, I had a small apartment, and I'm going to name the neighborhood, even though a lot of people may not know it, in the Rainier Beach neighborhood of Seattle. And this apartment was a place where I got my girlfriends together and we would just gather, have girl talk, ladies' nights, and just decompress after a long work week, you name it. And I had one of those nights and I wanted to thank each of the ladies for coming, just as a nice gesture. And I ended up creating a card for each of them. And they were so good, to be honest. I was just like, let me take a picture of these. Took a picture of them before sending them off, and then ended up just wanting to do that more and more and more. So just started drawing like crazy, and eventually I said, like, let me mass produce these. And it was just that easy. And I hear everyone talk about like good business comes from like service. And I feel like that's what that was. It just kind of happened organically. And then my Capricorn self was like, okay, how can we turn this into a hustle? And from there, reproduce them and begin selling them. So here I am now.
I didn't know you were a Capricorn. I also am a Capricorn. When's your birthday?
January 14th.
Okay. I'm December 29th. So
okay, a December Capricorn. So I don't need to explain much anymore. I think you get it.
I was like, wait a minute, let me find out. Wow. Yeah, that's how we are. Like, everything. I think people always get Capricorns mistaken because of the fact that they think we're so business, but it's business with a purpose or with a mission, or it's like every time I've started something, it's because I felt like an injustice or I've seen something that,
come on.
So that's the Capricorn, really, if we want to talk about it. But that's beautiful. So you were just doing it with your friends to begin with, and it just turned into this beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And you said something, and I'm so sorry. Let me know if I cut you off at any point, because it's like church with me sometimes. I'm taking all of it. Yes.
You have your notebook too? You taking notes too? Me too.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, you're a Capricorn. And people are like, you take paper notes? Yes, I do. When you write, you commit more to memory, right?
I say the same thing.
It's the truth. It's like a muscle thing. It's a muscle memory. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so cool. But what's really cool, Black greeting cards. What's really cool is what I've done is, and I won't say I've done this because I'm learning to do this now, but I've commissioned another artist to use their work, to create greeting cards. And then they've got a bundle of cards now that they'll sell and launch their own business from, if that makes sense. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's not just about me, but now I'm putting other people on, which is really cool. So I've discovered that, like, while art is my passion and I love it, to monetize it is really, really hard for me. Just to to create it in order to sell it, I'll say. To sell it isn't hard, but to create in order to sell is hard for me.
Yeah.
But I love the business side of things. I just love it. So literally I'm like, okay, you make art, let me see it. Let me help you learn how to flip it, teach you how to do it. And just let me be your supplier, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yes. I love that.
Exactly. Yes. See, we're gonna give Hallmark a run for their money for sure.
Oh, I know that's right. I mean, that card, I've never been moved. I was sitting on my couch crying when I saw the card.
Oh,
because I guess the twofold part was that, one, my sister could find a card that really spoke to how she saw me, and then to also get a card realizing, oh, she really does see me. And, I've been described as a workaholic sometimes, but then she put into words of you're always someone reaching for a dream. She kind of tied it into the theme of your card. And I was like, wow, I felt really I felt seen, for the first time. I read cards and I love cards. I save them. Actually, I save all my cards. But that's the first time I sat down and I started crying. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I felt really, truly seen.
Yeah. That touches me because, and I know I get excited about the business stuff, but my background is social work first. I love to hear stuff like that. This is me wanting to spread love and joy and put all the good stuff into us. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll just say that.
Yeah. I mean, you could go on and on too. It's fine.
I know. I think I got a little shy. But yeah, that's what these cards are for. I think they're affirmations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to hear these words and see ourselves represented in these powerful positions and in these mediocre ways. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's so funny. It seems like when we create something, we think it's so simple. And so that's why I'm glad you're monetizing what you're doing, because sometimes we're like, oh, I would just like, actually, I make these. I didn't mean to start making them, but I started making them for my friends, some like ritual oils and just things. So I made one called Calm in the Storm. It's probably like my favorite one. And my friend was like, are you going to sell this? And I was like, no, I'm just doing this for friends and family, you know? But I guess it really touched her because I made a prayer that goes with the oil and, you know, and she was just like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm sure. But I don't know, hearing you talk is making me think like, yeah, we should sometimes monetize the things that we love doing because our gifts are what are supposed to help us, you know, but as long as we keep service at the heart of what we're doing, then it should be fine, right?
Yeah, and why not?
Mhm.
Like, literally, why not? Like, there's there's so much out here that has been done and hasn't been done, you know? Think about from toilet paper to mops, the things that we need to use every day, like, we should be
Yeah,
in those lanes too. There's no
exactly.
reason why we shouldn't. Absolutely, oils and prayer oils, like, what? Like, can I get some of that too?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we should be in every space, in every lane, and just imagine if we were. Game
Yeah.
changer. Game
Well, and
changer.
it's interesting you say that. There's a creator that I follow, and she wrote a really good post. It's the Hood Healer. She wrote a post about like how everybody was saying like boycott Target and, you know, but not giving people these alternatives to what, you know, like, okay, we're boycotting Target, but if I need Pampers, if I need diapers, and this is like the grocery store in my neighborhood or the place that I can actually within my income range afford this, or, you know, like, what do you do? You know? And
Mm,
so I started the directory because of wanting to have a place for people to go to find other Black creators. But it's really hard sometimes to find Black owned for the essentials, you know, and what
yep.
people need in the day to day. So that was really powerful what she said. Like, what are the alternatives that we're giving people? Because what's the outcome, you know? Because then we're guilting people into not doing these things. But what have we given them as a lane elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, imagine our own Black owned supermarket full of Black owned products, but
Yeah,
we actually have these places. They're just kind of hidden gems.
exactly.
My greeting cards are in a Black owned hair store in Seattle that sells 90% Black made products.
Mm,
So I think I said that right. So these are products made by Black folks, and the hair store
yeah.
is selling only those, and I think that's pretty awesome.
That's
And
huge.
it's phenomenal.
I don't know if my sister knows that. We'll have to we'll have to make sure you have to give me the
Yeah.
name later. I have to make sure we tell her that.
Well, can I say the name now?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Duh. Okay.
Zara Joe. It's on 23rd and MLK in the CD. Zara
Okay,
Joe on 20. It's actually on 23rd and Union. I'm sorry. 23rd and Union in the CD. Zara Joe.
okay.
And so super cool owners. Shout out to Jamal and Autumn. Like, man, down to earth. The education that they give is phenomenal. I think they've got a braiding workshop coming up, but I just say that to say, like, our people are doing it. We're doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, we're everywhere. I'll have to make sure to add them to the directory too, but, yeah, these are the things that we need to be talking about and sharing so that way we have alternatives for when we decide to, like, "Hey, make these moves," you know? Or even just local grocery stores or local suppliers that are, you know, true allies, you know? So, I think there's a lot that we can do. Okay, so we came to talk about um how trauma can sometimes lead you into purpose. And so hmm, I kind of want to start with like, you know, what we talked about in some of your bio about, you know, how your miscarriage kind of led you down a different path and you want to start there?
Um, I think I have to start a little sooner than that.
Okay.
And I'll share. Growing up, I was the youngest of four in my household and only girl. I've
Mhm.
got more siblings outside of that, but I'll start in my household. Um, and not to jump to the most tragic part, but when I was 19, my brother was murdered at 20.
Mm.
And um, that was my moment. That was my
Mm.
moment where my like innocence was taken and I was thrown into the real world. And life happened, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I'll kind of call the like real defining moment in my life. But leading up to that, my brother was street gang involved, had been a high school pushout. But to me, he was my hero, my everything, the coolest person I knew, the dopest person I knew, the person I wanted to be just like. Um, and it was because of him that I actually wanted to like teach. So I had the desire to teach as a young person in high school. And that's exactly what I went to college with every intention to do. And it was at the very beginning of my second quarter of college that my brother was murdered.
Wow. Wow. And did your brother want to teach? Where's the link there?
I wanted to catch kids like him. So this is
Ah,
the start of my
okay.
jumping into someone else's story. This is the start of like how trauma has, led me and impacted me. Uh before that I wanted to like design clothes. I like to draw. It was everything artsy for me. Um but with what was happening to him, I didn't understand that. And I wanted to understand that and I wanted to stop it.
Wow. Okay. So I see where the link is now. That makes a lot of sense. Wow. And so can you tell us a little bit about your journey as a social worker and what that's been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I went to college with every intention to teach, but ended up studying psychology and sociology, just because they answered those questions for me. They let me understand the whys behind behavior, what was happening in the mind. So when I graduated, I jumped into social services and began working with youth and young adults who were commercially sexually exploited, homeless, gang group involved. Um, and from there, began working with adults who were experiencing homelessness and other barriers, you name it. So, just long story short, I just worked with people to support them in achieving their goals, whatever that meant. If that meant employment, if that meant housing. Eventually, I worked for the state. So, not necessarily if that meant being reunified with their children, but how to keep their children safe in their homes, per
Mm-hmm.
se. Um, so I had quite the journey, a lot of direct service, and now I'm more in systems work,
Okay.
just informing systems.
Okay. Wow. Well, so, one of the questions I had written down, that I told you earlier that kind of hit me in the chest too was, do you know what you would have done without your trauma? But what's interesting is it seems like, you were saying you wanted to design clothes. It was always artsy for you, but it seems like now your initial passions kind of merge with more of your like social passions of helping others and touching others in our community, it seems like.
Yeah, that's deep, and maybe I'm kind of having my own little like Sankofa experience as I heal.
Hmm.
Um, I almost have this vision of like this little girl inside of me, like celebrating, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm coming back to those roots. And the awesome thing is I'm coming back with a lot of skills and a lot of resources,
Hmm.
to be able to create the dream, should I say.
That's so interesting. We have so much in common, by the way.
Talk to
Um,
me.
when I was a kid, we all used to tear our Barbie's clothes up, but I wanted to, I used to say I want to be a fashion designer. And I remember even having looked into FIDM, the Fashion, uh, Institute of Design, or I believe that's how the name is,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But FIDM, I had looked into FIDM and I don't know why I didn't go down that road, but I ended up, going into communications and I mean, I didn't use my degree right away, but now I am, I guess, essentially broadcasting, if you will. This is broadcasting. But yeah, it was fashion design. It was clothes. Hmm.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like
Yeah.
who says we're not there yet? You know what I mean? Like it can still like what I've been doing lately, girl.
Mhm.
Every time I remember a goal, a dream, or a vision, I write it down. Cause
Yeah.
there are things that have been coming to me like, oh, I forgot I wanted that. And
Hmm.
like slowly I'm like, oh dang, or I forgot. And that actually happened. But just capturing those things, because it's crazy when you actually reflect back to see. And I'm just like, we're not even halfway there yet.
No, we're not. Yeah, it was clothes and then jewelry at one point, and then I got discouraged by someone in my family to not, like, all you care about is money, and I was like, no, that's not. Well, then why do you want to sell jewelry? I'm like, because it's beautiful. Like what?
Oh
So
no.
yeah.
Like the power of words, right? Like
Hmm.
you can add on to somebody or you could take away. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
heavy.
that's so true. Wow, okay, so that's interesting. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just still kind of like reveling in the link to your initial passions and your mission driven passions too. So okay, so you're doing social work now, and doing your art as well. Is that something that you feel like you will want to remain in, or you might want to change, or
Yeah. And I can't say like I'm practicing social work, although I do work in like social and human services.
yeah,
I'm excited to like say my title is a strategic advisor. I like to say that because
I
in
know it sounds
2004
cool.
in 2014, I was like, what is that? And now I get to do it. But um, what was your question again? Because I got excited and ran
Yeah,
off.
it's okay. It was. Oh, see, my brain now too. It was. Is that something that you want to keep doing, like staying in this lane? You know.
Yeah, I actually love the work that I do. I get to work with community. I kind of say I get to social work the social workers. Like
Mm,
I get to solve problems. And side note, I heard someone say that the bigger the problems you solve, the more money you'll make. So I'm trying to solve some really big problems in the future. But
mm,
I get to solve problems at a level that I really appreciate.
mhm.
I feel like I'm still impacting like community positively. I'm informing systems. Um, and that feels good. I have healthcare. You know, my son's in school and like it's okay if I need to, you get what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna like I'll keep this job if I come into a big pocket of money because it's
mhm.
still tied to my hard work. Um
Exactly.
and it's all connected. I think as a Capricorn you probably understand this and most people probably will, but like when you can see that things are all connected, it just I'm at a loss for words. Like it's just fuel, you know what I mean? Like all of us, it's just affirmation and confirmation, you know, stuff starts
Mhm.
to just fall in place and you see the alignment. And I'm not getting off this boat.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I'm glad you're talking about this because there was a time in our, I feel like in our, I don't know if it's like social media world or if this was the real world. I don't really know because there's a difference between the two sometimes. But I feel like there was a time period where everybody was like, "Quit your 9 to 5. Like you don't need a job." Like all that stuff, and it's like, well, actually, no. How do we make sure that everything we're doing comes together? Because I was never the person that could excel in my entrepreneurial pursuits without my 9 to 5 being aligned.
Yeah.
So like even before I got laid off last month, I at work I was hosting a podcast for the internal employees and having these conversations monthly about people's work experiences and about where they were burnt out. And I was having similar types of conversations we're having now, but in that work context where people really truly needed it. And I was fortunate to be able to do that. So for me, it's always had to, like, to your point, it's always has to, it also all has to come together and all has to make sense. And not everybody's built to just go balls to the wall entrepreneur. Like it's not for everybody.
No. And to me, like I'm my number one investor, you
Mhm.
know, just to be honest, like when I went to relaunch my business, I was able to use funds that I had to start it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that means everything to me.
Yeah.
And then when I make money and reinvest it, if I run out, like I'm just gonna invest in my own self. And that's because I can. I have the privilege to
Mhm.
be able to do that. Like there have been people who like bring up loans to me and things like that. And it might be my ignorance right now. Maybe one day I'll be interested in a loan or something like that for my business. But as long as I could be my number one investor, I'm gonna be that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, why not create your own pathway to fund what you need to do? Also, it keeps so I loved having a job while doing this because and I'll still do this even without my job, but when people feel like they can demand certain things from you just because they're paying into your ecosystem. And like I tell people, y'all know, the
Mm.
audience knows, I'll block people who have been paying me, who have not been paying. I do not care what your status is. If you're disrupting what I'm building, if you're disrupting the energy of my people that are here and feeding into the community, you gotta go. I don't care
Mm.
what you're paying me. Like you gotta go.
You
So
s- you said paying into my ecosystem. I'm gonna
Mhm.
borrow that.
Yes. I mean we're an ecosystem. Like I don't just showing up is like is the presence, you know, like bringing yourself to the table
Mm,
is the gift. And so, you know, I think
dang.
of myself as an ecosystem. Like I don't just podcast, but I also write. And that means you're getting access into my spiritual world, you're getting access to my intellect and how I think about things, you know, like that's precious, you know? So yes, your ecosystem, Mahogany, you got an
You
ecosystem too.
you got me snapping over here. Look, okay, the bar just got raised. All right.
Listen, I'm trying to raise it for myself too every day because it is really easy to get off of that path or to feel like, you know, the expectations are this just because you got this other stuff going on. Um but yeah, I love everything that you're talking about. I love what you're doing. So let's lean more into that question around do you know what you would have done without your trauma? So we talked about fashion design, but like just from a more rooted perspective, do you feel like you would be who you are today without that?
Without my trauma?
Mhm.
Wow. Ah, I have never thought of that.
Mhm.
So, like, I actually cannot picture self without
Yeah.
my experience. I can't separate the two.
Mhm.
And it almost like pains me to like imagine the possibility,
Mm.
uh, because then I have to imagine, um, yeah, something different than what I have now. And
Yeah.
and it's corny to say it, but I feel like I'm in that place where like I'm okay with what I went through because it led me to where I am. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm happy. Like,
Mhm.
I have joy. And even when the storms come, it's okay because I know I'll get through it because I did it before and I'm still a winner. You get what I'm saying? Like, I go on forever. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I know that's right. And it's interesting. So I was asking it too because like I know, you know, your brother passing away was a big part of that catalyst, but even if he didn't, you like I was wondering if you were still exposed to that kind of environment where you grew up in the first place. Like were you seeing those kinds of things you know, before it hit you close to home like that?
Yeah. I think, there's something about like growing up in poverty and you don't know you're in poverty.
I
Um,
same same.
Yeah, like, you don't know until something happens or somebody tells you,
Mhm.
and for me, somebody told me that I had, like, sheep shoes on, you know what I mean? And then I came back to school with some Jordans and it was all good, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
it's that type of stuff, right? And I'm not proud of that but by any means, but I think that was about 8th grade.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't think I really understood what was going on, but I seen it all, you know what I mean? Shout out to my
Yeah.
mom who has probably been clean and sober from alcohol for like several decades at this point, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I grew up with alcoholism in my home. I've witnessed a lot, seen a lot. You get what I'm saying? Like, but
Mhm.
something about that is like could be normal as a kid, and
Yeah.
it just is. So, but my brother's passing was the first of a lot of deaths by gun violence or
Mm.
just premature death in my family, actually. And not as a result of that or anything, but like suddenly it was like, oh, my cousin, another brother. It's just a lot. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's so interesting. Wow. Yeah, the not knowing you're poor. I mean, we like it's like we knew, but we didn't know because like we get to the end of the month and you know stomachs are growling, but like we made jokes about it in our family, so it wasn't like
Mm,
you know. And then you get older, you're like, oh, that's not normal to let you know, like to let it get to that point or to have to let it get to that point and joke about it, you know.
yeah, I was gonna say, as far as like that whole like I went through what I went through, but I'm here and I'm happy, so it's okay thing, like but I get the difference, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, when you're in it, it doesn't feel that way at
No.
all, and, like, my lesson learned for me is, like, how do I set up my son's life so he doesn't have those experiences,
Yeah,
and doesn't even have to have these kind of, conversations later in life, like
that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's so interesting. You don't so okay, with that thread of like, okay, we don't get it like back then. But like, okay, for instance, for me, sometimes I'm getting much better with this, but like, even though I had the money for groceries, I sometimes would let my refrigerator get all the way down to like desolate because that's where I felt very comfortable at without even realizing it. And then now I'm like getting better at like, did you eat this morning? Did you eat this afternoon? Are you drinking your water? Okay. What's the temperature on the refrigerator? When is it time to buy the next round of groceries? Like I'm getting much better with that. So like, are there any things that you've seen now that you maybe shifted or you've had to like work through to, make sure you're not like perpetuating, like you said, making sure your son's life is set up the same way, yours is set up in a better way?
One thing I'll say is that I just had a conversation with my aunt. It just so happens that we just put seeds in the ground for the first time in the backyard, and like my water hose doesn't have a nozzle that works, and I was gonna go buy one, and my auntie's like, "No, don't go buy one. I have one." Just that beautiful thing. But I call her and we're talking, and she's telling me about how she fell and like she is fine, but she's had to slow down. And it's really doing something to her mental because she's so used to being busy. Like she wants to do what she can do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like that too.
Mm,
I could not like not go or whatever. And she's like, you know where we get that from? And I'm like, no. She said, we get that from mama. She's talking about her mom, my grandmother. She's
mhm.
like, if we were still, we weren't doing enough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if we weren't moving, we weren't doing enough. So she was, telling us what to do. And I was like, oh my God, I totally see that in my mom. And then I'm like, oh my God, that is me. You know what I mean? And so to that point, I'm going to use the term like micromanage because it'll help explain. Like I have to unlearn that.
Mm,
And with my son. And I don't know that I have the full thought or language about that, but that busyness, that having to do something, like I don't want to transfer that to him.
mhm.
But I can see myself like we just get busy. I don't know where I'm going with this thought, but it's gonna get there. but but yeah, just that need to be like productive, need to be doing something kind of a thing.
Well, you said that comes from her grandmother, or from her mom, which is your grandmother, then probably comes from her grandmother. And if we keep going all the way back, that probably dates back to, you know, slavery and having to stay busy and stay productive in order to stay safe or to be,
Mm.
So I would imagine that somewhere down the road that leads back to that, you know. Um, it's still affecting us today. I know people like to say, "Oh, racism is not affecting," but it has affected us to this day, whether or not we're aware of it, you know? Like, I learned recently even the whole, thing around, us not always liking to give affection freely. It was
Mm.
illegal at some point to openly give affection in public spaces for Black people.
Oh.
And so, there's all these little things that whether or not we're aware of it do affect us, you know?
Oh man, you're about to have me out here giving hugs everywhere.
Yeah. They say you need 14 hugs a day to be healthy and happy, So when I'm like, you can give me a hug, it's cool. Just don't leave no weird energy, but you can hug
Oh
me.
man.
Yeah, you need 14 a day apparently. So yeah, so I hug my cats sometimes or my friends if I see them. You gotta get your hugs in somewhere. So but yeah, there's all these things that we have no idea sometimes that are still affecting us to this day.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So I love this connection. You said you can't separate the two. I feel very much so like that as well because I don't know who I would be without my trauma. Um, I don't know if my mind would think the way that it thinks or move the way that it moves or have compassion towards others the way that I do, because I feel like I can see things from other people's perspective or try to empathize with them more than I might have been able to, you know, without that. So, no, I can't separate it either. But I was like, the question hit me in the chest too. I was like, I'm going to ask Mahogany this, but I don't even know if I can answer could answer this
Mm.
myself. You know?
No, for sure. And I don't want people to get it twisted. We don't want the trauma, but it is definitely like shaped and informed like who we have become. And there's so much like beauty in that. You know what I mean? There's so much beauty in that.
There is. There really is. Yeah. Oof. Okay. I feel like the audience might need a little deep breath. So just take a sigh for a moment. I feel like I need one, you know?
I'm just like picturing like what has to happen to the earth, like in order to like for seeds to like grow, like that is us, just yeah.
Well, what I've heard or like theories I've heard is that like everybody can do their part by raising their frequency, you know?
Mm,
So like even with the work that we decide to do, maybe it's not necessarily the ideal dream job that you ever would have. But if you can find something that allows you to be of service in some way or to be connected to your purpose in some way or that leads to somewhere else, I feel like it's in the things that we do daily, you know? So if it's not work, maybe it's how you show up with your neighbors. If it's not your neighbors, it's how you show up with your children or your friends but I feel like if we all commit to raising our own personal vibrations and frequencies, then we can raise the vibration of the earth in a way.
yeah, absolutely. You said something interesting and I'm just curious, like,
Mhm.
what is your dream job?
I don't know that I dream of jobs. I don't know that I dream of work.
What
But
is your dream thing?
well, from all the things that I used to do, when I was doing my last job, I was in the learning and development space. And actually, I realized it recently. I was like, I was always kind of in learning development, even when I was in college and even in high school. Like when I was in high school, I volunteered over the summers at a boys and girls club or no, that was college, sorry, at a library in my neighborhood. And I would do the book club for the kids, and just kind of help make sure that was set up and, add some creativity onto it for them. And then when I was in college, I would do the boys and girls club and I created programming for them. And then while in college, like actually at school, I would create programs for the residents. And so I was always kind of creating some type of experience. I think my favorite one was comic relief. So during midterms, when people had a little break, I would have them come and listen to like a comedian from a local comedy club. And
Nice.
they would get some relief and they go back to their midterms or their finals, whatever time of the year it was, And so I've always done that. And then I ended up in learning and development after that. And I've been creating programs and content for executives for almost over a decade now. So I think there's something to that element of creating programming and creating community around that. But I would like to do that more. And so I think that has followed me because when I did it as a RA, there was community. When I did it at the Boys and Girls Club Center, there was community. When I did it at work, there is community. And with the Mediocre Black Woman, like there's community, So I feel like that theme of community has always been there. How to expand on that, I don't know just yet or what that looks like. But it's always about community for me
I know that's
because
right.
I feel like there's so many people that are on the outside or don't know how to like properly even do community or be supported. Like people love to support, but have a hard time being supported, And so I don't know, community has always been at the heart of things.
Right
Yeah.
on.
And I
Right
think
on.
podcasting too has definitely been my way of creating community around that too. So that's another thing that's always shown up.
For sure. One thing that I am like picking up from you is just like your way with words and like communication is just, it's crazy. I don't even have the words to describe it, but like the way you flip words and ask questions and your memory of them and all of that is just phenomenal. It's
Oh,
like
thank you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of practice. Sometimes I'll be like, where did I go? Okay.
Nah, you're tracking perfectly. I'm like, "Da-da-da-da."
Mhm.
This is great.
Well, it's because how my mind with talking to you reminds me of me talking to myself. Because when I do the voice notes, I'm like, I'm gonna make a point. We're gonna take a while to get there, but I'm gonna come back and I promise we'll get there at some point. So I'm like, it feels like talking to myself. So it's easy to follow you and like come back to where we were at before. But yeah, I don't know. It's community. I mean, like even this, like I know we're talking about you and your story, but I like how it's gone back and forth and it's created this relationship now. And I'll tell you all this. I'll be transparent. When I first started podcasting and I started deciding to have guests, I would always do um this I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I would post a page about my podcast there, and you can get guests that way. And I used to be able to get guests like left and right. Like it was kind of overwhelming how many guests I could get. But when I put it out there for the Mediocre Black Woman, kind of in a way that I used to do it, it was not working. So I was like, I'm just going to take this down because maybe this isn't aligned anymore, right? And so then I started getting emails from all of these Black women who somehow found out about me through somebody else. One woman sent me this beautiful message. I'm recording with her tomorrow, actually. But she sent me this beautiful message, and I was like, okay, I can do you one better. You can come on. But she offered a free offering to the audience without any strings attached. And I was like, how about you just come on? Because that's the kind of energy that I feel like this space deserves, you know? And so I was like, okay, doing it the old way wasn't working because it's supposed to be more of a true relationship building, you know? And then I saw your card and I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to her. This is just, you know, so I don't know. I feel like it's working itself out in its own way, interestingly enough, you know? So there's real like relationship being built. People really listen. Like when I talk to somebody, I could tell they've actually listened. Like they've quoted me and I'm like, ooh, hold up, you know?
I could absolutely believe they've quoted you because I think I wrote about 15 things you done said down for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that like that's a beautiful thing how it's kind of come full circle. And now, you know, like when I got your email about the card, like I was definitely like overwhelmed by it, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, that's the first time I've gotten such a response for sure. And then what was I going to say? And then you invited me to have a conversation and maybe even invited me to the podcast, but I had to like look up imposter syndrome because I was like feeling that, like, do I belong? Do I fit this? Is she sure she wants me? Oh yeah. It was after I like peeked at your website. I was like, oh my God, like this is, this is amazing. Like, is she sure she has the right person who's like slanging these $5 greeting cards? So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we all go through elements of that. Yeah, we all go through elements of that. Like sometimes I tell my best friend all the time, I'm like, every time I publish every week, even though I've been doing this every week for like years, I'm like, okay, publish. And then I wake up the next morning and I put in a cold sweat looking at the like, you know, like did the episode come out? Did everything like go the way it was? Okay, everything is out. I could breathe now for a little bit. But it does not matter how many times I've done it. It's always like I'm putting this out there again because you're putting yourself out there, you know, when you do this. And when you do your card, you know, when you put out your cards, you're putting out pieces of yourself for people to react to and to, you know, connect with. And so, and people aren't always nice, but I think that we're attracting the people that do, you know, need what we have. So I thank you for kind of getting outside of yourself and deciding to come and be on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no way I couldn't do that, you know, just thinking about what I've been through and like where God has brought me, like who am I not to like share or like light up a path or something, you know what I mean? Like who knows, whatever is going to happen, but who am I not to express this and sing it high and loud and proud? Especially, you know, I plan to do more like speaking about my postpartum journey eventually, but like from my experience, as I share, a lot of people open up that they've had a similar experience or know someone who has. And my son's dad frequently tells me that so-and-so needs to hear from you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Which is crazy. But yeah, we
Wow.
are. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I think the audience needs to hear this too. I had a mentor like when I was in this program, and week after week, it'd be different speakers, but with similar stories. And he always said, you know, the reason why he'll have different people do the message or share their stories is because sometimes people just need to hear it from somebody that looks like them and that resonates with them, comes from where they come from. And so, yeah, somebody might have heard a story about trauma before, but they haven't heard it from Mahogany or from Theodora. Like someone that looks and feels like them, has a similar path, has a similar journey. Like it matters, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. we can relate to that, just think about the people who've spoken to our lives or, those we've looked up to or admired, you know what I mean? I think that's so important. I feel really comfortable with you, so I'm gonna go here. But just on that note, I've decided to open myself up to mentoring young women, or just I'm putting it into the universe,
Yes.
God, please send me someone to mentor. I've been outside, girl. Having a lot of fun, just dating and everything. But I'm let me not use all of this extra energy and attention I have and put it into dating and stuff. Let me find someone to mentor and so into, because it's my turn. You know what I mean? I've been blessed so much. It's my turn to give back in this way.
That's beautiful. Well, y'all heard Mahogany. She's open to mentoring folks. Would you prefer to do it in your city or virtually? How would you prefer to be a mentor?
That's a good question. I think I'm open to all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I am open to all of the above. I have capacity for that. And that's what I'll say.
Okay, well, you guys heard it. Mahogany is open. So, I mean, we broadcast to all 50 states and several countries. Well, I don't even know the number of countries, but so many countries. So, you all heard Mahogany. She's open to mentoring, which I think is beautiful. Mentoring reminds you of, where you were at. And I feel like they always send you somebody, at my job, actually, my former job, we had a mentorship program. And so I was mentoring 2 different women at one point, and I was like, oh my God, this reminds me of where I was at, 90 days to a year ago, even sometimes. And so it just kind of reminds you, and I know it's about them, but you get a lot out of being a mentor too, if you're open in that way. So that's exciting. Okay. So you want to mentor women? I mean, girls, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Girls. Okay. Do you have an age range that you would like to mentor?
I think if I had to choose 9 and up.
Okay.
I do really well with teens. My background as far as social work is teen, kind of that 13 to 24 is my really great spot. Okay. But I think getting in there a little younger would be beneficial as well.
Yeah, it does help to start while they're young, because then you have all these people reinforcing you. I feel like it's everything for young girls. So, all right. Well, Mahogany, I'm so excited for you. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to wrap the episode here. We can keep talking afterwards because I know we'll keep talking. So I'm going to wrap the episode here for y'all. And I have a feeling that, Mahogany, we will have you back on the podcast for a progress update or something. But it's been so beautiful having you on. Thank you for your energy, your time, your presence, and just sharing it with me and our community. It means a lot. It's a big deal that you got outside of your comfort zone and you shared. Somebody's going to be touched by this episode. So thank you.
All right on. And thank you, Goddess Theodora. Thank you for having me. Thank you for creating this space, and just for everything you do.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sis, that's all for this week. Please be sure to leave us a review and make sure you share this with your bestie and tell them to share it with their bestie too. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye.